Today I want to share 3 stories from my life, not because they are extraordinary on their own, but because together they explain how life truly works. There are moments when we search for clear instructions, perfect plans, or guaranteed outcomes, yet real life rarely gives us any of those. Instead, it gives us uncertainty, fear, and choices that don't make sense at the time. These stories are about learning to move forward anyway, even when the path is unclear, and trusting that meaning will reveal itself later. Before I ever made a decision for myself, my life had already taken an unexpected turn. My biological mother was young, unmarried, and still studying, and she made the painful decision to put me up for adoption. She wanted the best possible future for me, and believed strongly that I should be raised by college graduates. Everything seemed settled, and a professional couple was ready to adopt me. But when I was born, they changed their minds at the last moment because they wanted a girl. Suddenly, I was a baby without a home. My parents, who were on a waiting list, received a late-night call asking if they would take an unexpected baby boy. Without hesitation, they said yes. Later, when my biological mother learned that my adoptive parents had not completed college, she refused to sign the adoption papers. Only after months of resistance did she agree, and only because my parents promised that I would go to college someday. That promise, made with hope and uncertainty, quietly shaped the direction of my entire life. 17 years later, I fulfilled that promise by going to college, but I made a choice without fully understanding its consequences. I enrolled in a school that was almost as expensive as Stanford, and my working-class parents were spending nearly all their savings to support me. After just 6 months, I began to feel lost. I had no clear sense of purpose, no understanding of what I wanted to become, and no belief that college was helping me find those answers. What I did understand was that every class I attended was costing my parents money they had worked their entire lives to save. Carrying that weight became unbearable, and so I made one of the hardest decisions of my life. I dropped out. At the time, it felt reckless and terrifying, like stepping into the unknown without a safety net. Yet looking back, that decision turned out to be one of the most important choices I ever made. Once I dropped out, I gained something I had never truly experienced before: freedom. I stopped attending classes that held no meaning for me and began sitting in on courses that sparked my curiosity, simply because they interested me. Life during that period was far from comfortable. I didn't have a dorm room, so I slept on friends' floors. I collected empty bottles to afford food and walked long distances each week just to get one decent meal. Yet despite the struggle, I felt alive. I was learning because I wanted to, not because I was required to. During this time, I took a calligraphy class with no practical goal in mind. I learned about typefaces, spacing, proportion, and the subtle beauty of written forms. It felt artistic and deeply human, and at the time it seemed to have no real-world application whatsoever. Years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, everything I had learned in that calligraphy class suddenly mattered. We designed the Mac with beautiful typography, something personal computers had never had before. Because of that choice, typography became a standard part of modern computing. If I had never dropped out of college, I would never have taken that class, and personal computers might look very different today. This taught me a truth that only becomes clear with time. You cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. When you are living your life, you don't know which moments will matter. You simply have to trust that the dots will connect someday. That trust gives you the courage to follow your heart even when the path makes no sense, and that courage can change everything. I was fortunate to discover what I loved to do early in life. When I was 20, a friend and I started a company in my parents' garage. We worked relentlessly, driven by belief rather than certainty. Over the next 10 years, that small project grew into a multi-billion-dollar company with thousands of employees. We had just released what we believed was our greatest creation, and I had just turned 30. Then, unexpectedly and painfully, I was fired from the very company I had helped create. As the company grew, leadership differences emerged, and the board chose a different vision. Overnight, the focus of my entire adult life disappeared. The experience was humiliating and devastating, and for a long time, I felt like a public failure. I questioned my worth and even considered leaving the industry entirely. Slowly, something important became clear to me. Despite everything, I still loved the work. Being fired hadn't taken that away, so I began again from scratch. What felt like a crushing defeat turned into a period of incredible creativity. I started new companies, including Next and Pixar, and I fell in love with a woman who would become my wife. Pixar went on to create the first fully computer-animated feature film, and years later, Apple acquired Next, bringing me back full circle. None of these things would have happened if I hadn't been fired. Sometimes life hits you hard, but losing faith is far more dangerous than losing success. The only thing that truly sustained me was loving what I did, and that love made it possible to start again. Your work will occupy a large portion of your life, and the only way to feel genuinely fulfilled is to do work you believe is meaningful. The only way to do meaningful work is to love what you do. If you haven't found that yet, keep searching and don't settle. Like all matters of the heart, you'll recognize it when you find it, and over time, it will only grow stronger. When I was 17, I read a quote that stayed with me. If you live each day as if it were your last, one day you will be right. Since then, I have asked myself every morning whether I would choose to do what I'm about to do if today were my last day. Whenever the answer has been no for too long, I know something must change. Remembering that death is inevitable has been the most powerful tool in my life. It strips away fear, pride, and the need to impress others. In the face of death, what truly matters becomes clear. Death is not something to fear, it is life's greatest invention. It clears away the old to make room for the new. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life or following paths shaped by other people's expectations. Don't let the noise of the world drown out your inner voice. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition, because they already know who you are meant to become. Everything else is secondary. Stay hungry, stay foolish,